Well, hello there. This is Shane from Shane's Reviews, and I hope you are having a great day today. We're going to talk about a book that's a little bit different, but it does have a lot of sci-fi type stuff in it. The name of it is Waste Tide, and the narrator is Yuan Chung, and it was wrote by Chen Qiufan, and it was translated by Ken Luau. And if I got any of those names wrong, my sincere apologies. So this was something that was recommended by one of you guys and gals, and it was just something that was listed in there, and I was like, okay, well, let's just check it out. And thank you. I don't remember who it was, but first question is production quality. Good. Don't have any issues there. There is a foreword talking about the difficulties of translations, and that they made some changes that would make it easier for a English-speaking audience, which I appreciate them doing that in a big way. It was something that once it was addressed, it wasn't a problem. But if I didn't have that knowledge going into it, some of the names and some of the places and the different speech patterns, etc., probably would have thrown me off a little bit. That's not a big deal. The big deal is actually the story of this book. It's actually really, really good. I didn't expect what I got from it. It starts out as a really kind of slow piece about humanity and our struggles to not destroy ourselves, really, with a bunch of very hazardous waste. So that part of it, I was really getting ready to tune out. If I'm honest, I really, really was. But I'm glad that I kind of stuck it out, because this was a very long, we need to establish the world. We need to establish what people would be doing, their thought processes, and why. And I appreciate it in this because here in America is so much more different on our thought processes or the way that we would behave in particular things. So it was really good to have the introduction to different things, the different ways of thinking of things before we actually got into the nitty-gritty of the book. And you can kind of tell that that's ramping up throughout. There's a very remarkable story in this book whenever it comes to a particular person by the name of Evie, and then this person that just becomes interested in her. There's all these other little things that are happening within the book, like the memories of the individual that's interested in her, Scott I think it was, and a few others, and the way that different province clans, etc., would be interacting with these characters, or just how stubborn people can be whenever it's something that, yes, it should benefit us, but we're not going to do it because we like the old way, and the old way for us is grease our palms. And that really is no different in China than it is here. It's just done differently. I really respect that, even though this was a book that was originally kind of focusing on how this is a problem and how we can do something like hashtag team trees or etc., but in more of a let's mitigate the way that the trash that we have that is toxic is harming other people in other parts of the world. Let's give them better tools. Let's build them a better way of doing this, and then let's make this happen. So that's essentially what the first part of the book is really about in a way, but not at all. That's the main moving point of the story, but there's a lot of things that are going on in the background, and you start getting these little snippets, like a prosthetic arm that is just kind of clawing its way across, and this kid keeps grabbing it, moving it back to the starting point and letting it crawl across again. Or these dogs that have chips in them, and they're supposed to attack anything that pretty much moves unless you have sent a code forward from something like a Bluetooth device, etc., that says, no, it's okay. There's all these little things like that that are adding up. And then we get into this enriched story that went well beyond where I thought it would go. There's a lot of depth to the characters. There's a lot of exposition, but it was kind of needed in the beginning. And then when everything kicks in about a third of the way through the book, here you should be ready for a ride, because now we get into a lot of cool stuff. Now, there's a lot of bad things that happens to Evie, and I really hated having to see a character like her go through all these sorts of things. And I have to remind myself in those situations that this is just a story, but also on the same point, it's realistic enough in the expectation of humanity and what people would do if they had these devices, gizmos, etc., that it's not that far of a logical leap to see that something like that actually could indeed happen, which is really sad and pathetic. But if you like vigilante type justice, this book is for you for sure. Now, let's see what kind of flavor points we've got. We've got a little bit of space, although I can't really say it. It's space. We've got VR components because of the interfaces in between people's minds and this, that, and the other. We actually have a biomechanical suit. Yes. Cue up the Gundams, get them ready to go. And then there's the humanity aspect of it. The way that things are set up for these people in this like trash town colony type of a situation, it's not like that for them at all. And it's really hard to watch or read or even accept that this is like their normal life. This is what they do. And the problem that I have with it is not just a story, but there are places where stuff like that goes on a daily basis, just not so fictionalized. There are places where big trash containers get dropped off and people go through all the trash, be it toxic or not toxic, just to get those recyclables. And you know, this book, it points out that humanity fact so very well. That's the thing that I really liked about it, because by the end of the book, there's a couple of things that happen, and there's some really well thought out imagery that is explained. And it's not like person-splaining or something like that, but just the way that it was delivered, it works so very well for the context of the story. All these things all add up to come to a big head of a story. And it just kind of cuts off. But then there's the epilogue. So don't worry, this is what I'm getting at. So did this book elicit any kind of emotional response? Yes. Did you watch the beginning of the video forward? It was something that was so very relatable in seeing how particular things are in this fictional world versus actual world. And it was a very plausible story as well, because it doesn't start out with, oh, well, here's this and you now accept it. No. These parts of the story that were so fantastical were brought along into the story and introduced to you in particular places where I personally think it was well done and well executed. So I really highly enjoyed reading and listening to this story. I really like the story. I like it a lot. It's very solid. It was well done. So the clap award, we should be giving this to the author because it was indeed a very good story. I have to ask that question now, is it worth your time, efforts, and energies? Yes, it certainly is. I wouldn't say that this is a top shelf book, but if it's not on the top shelf, it should be. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you so very much for watching. Every watch, every hour, everything like that right now counts in a big way. So if you think we did something good in this video, please do me a favor and hit that little subscribe button wherever it is on the screen. Just go ahead and give it a knock, or a kick, or a tappy dance, whatever you want to do. And if you think I'm a complete idiot, feel free to share it to all your friends so they can make fun of me as well. Haha, nice. But thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure which one of the videos that's coming in from that side you would pick, but if you happen to pick that one, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.